What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dolphins versus the World. I'm your host today, Anthony. I'm going to be on my own. Chase is not going to be able to be on the podcast today, but nonetheless, we are doing an episode for you guys. As always, before we get into it, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We really appreciate the support here that you guys have been giving us on Dolphins versus the World. So make sure to keep that coming. No need for a Christmas gift. Just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That's the best Christmas gift you could get us. But anyway, guys, we are here to talk about the Miami Dolphins complete blowout of the Jets winning 30-0. Dolphins defense pitching a shutout. The last time we pitched a shutout was against the Jets. So I guess it's becoming a theme. And let's just get right into it. No need to, sit around here and talk about really anything else. Let's just get right into this game because, I think a lot of people, including myself, heading into this game, we saw how many injuries we had. Tyreek wasn't going to play. We were unsure about the offensive line. Obviously, Connor Williams, the news that we got of him being out for the season. And just all the injuries, mainly I think Tyreek was probably the biggest one, and everyone was wondering what would this Dolphins offense look like without him. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think it was a surprise to many, including myself. Xavier Howard did not play. Javon Holland now has missed his third game. Deshaun Elliott's not out there. Jerome Baker. Obviously, we lost Jalen Phillips with a season-ending injury against the Jets last time. So with all of the injuries piled up with this team, I expected the Dolphins to win. If you watched last episode, I picked the Dolphins to win, I believe, by a score of 24-20. I believe it was. But for the Dolphins to come out and play the way they did, we'll get into how this translates to the rest of the season, whether it's sustainable or not. But I think just for this game specifically, to face a defense that I still have a lot of respect for in the Jets, and to be dealing with that many injuries and to overcome the adversity of what happened last week and go out there against a division team and win 30-0, to me, it's really impressive. I don't know how other people feel. I know there's going to be the comments, all you did is played the Jets, and the Jets are not a good team, but that's a professional football team out there. And to all the Jets fans that thought they were on the same level as us, we were out there 50%. I know you guys don't have Aaron Rodgers, but we were out there at 50%. I think I saw a graphic where 10 of our 22 starters were out, which is a ridiculous number. And despite that, it wasn't even a close game. I mean, think about that. You not only did you score 30 points, all of which came on offense without Tyreek Hill, but for the defense to go out there and again, I understand it's the Jets, but to go out there and pitch a shutout in the NFL is not hard, and I don't take it for granted. And for this team to go out there and do what they did, Bradley Chubb looked like I haven't seen a defensive end for the Dolphins dominate like that since Cam Wake. For him to go out there and play that well, for Jalen Ramsey to absolutely shut down Garrett Wilson, I thought everyone just played really good football. Both units just played the game within the game. And I really thought that, you looked at last week's game against the Titans, and that was the biggest issue I had is they kind of lost what the game was, and they were pressing too much. And at the very end of the game, just completely crapping the bed. But I thought this game, I thought both units, for what they had available with the injuries and everything, I thought they played one hell of a game. And again, I can't stress that enough for people out there. I understand that, it's the Jets. I understand we got some really tough games ahead, but pitching a shutout in the NFL is not easy. I don't care where it's played. I don't care if it's at home. I don't care. That's not an easy thing to do. And for the Dolphins defense to come out there and look that dominant against another NFL team, against professionals, that to me was really impressive. So that I wanted to start off with the defense, because I said this at the beginning of the season, and early on in the season, because of all the drama surrounding the defense. Obviously, gave up 48 to Buffalo, started off giving up 34 to the Chargers. We had questioned, is this defense overrated, right? But before the season started, I thought that this season we were going to rely a lot more on our defense. I thought Vic Fangio's coming in. He's not going to give up big plays. And in order for this Dolphins team to be consistently good, and I still feel this way, you have to play more methodical, steady play on offense where it's not just big plays galore. It's we can run the ball, we can spread the love around on offense, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek, Raheem Mostert, and on defense, just not give up big plays. And if that means that we only score 27 points a game on average and our defense is giving up 20 and we win a lot more games that way, then so be it. And I think realistically, and honestly, if you look at all of our wins, especially since the defense has been good, it's been just an overall team effort. I think especially since that week 5 landmark where the defense started playing better, yeah, the offense has had explosions and stuff, but I don't think anyone, including myself, could look at this game against the Jets and say, man, our offense looked explosive. It looked crazy dynamic. No, it was consistent. It was methodical. It was steady. And the defense, we relied on the defense having a really good game, giving us short fields. And while our best players were out and injured, just slowly, it was a slow bleed for the Jets. And it was just get the ball on offense, take away time on the clock, get some field goals, get some ugly touchdown drives in there, and win the game that way. And heading into the season, I thought it'd be a lot more of that from this team. Obviously, it took a little longer to get to this point. But, with the injuries on offense, Connor Williams being out for the year, we'll talk a little bit about the offense and the injuries. And, this team's going to, if we head into the playoffs, we're going to be heading in like limping into the playoffs, more so than other teams. But if we are to do damage in the playoffs and win some of these harder games coming up against the Cowboys, against the Ravens, against the Bills, this defense is going to have to carry us there. I don't care if Tyreek's in there. I know that he makes a significant impact, but we're heading against 3 great defenses that will neutralize him. And I believe that this defense, I'm not saying they're going to pitch shutouts against 3 elite teams that we're about to play, but if this defense can just play good, solid football, I think against all 3 teams, you have a solid chance of winning. The Ravens, I don't know. That's just me personally. I look at the Ravens game and I go, I don't really know how dominant they can be. I think that could be a low scoring game that you pull away a last second field goal and win. The Cowboys, we just saw them get embarrassed on the road. They are not a good road team. We are a very good home team. So that might be a recipe for success. And then the Bills, obviously, you look at that first matchup, I have serious concerns about it, which we'll talk about as we get closer to the game. But if your defense isn't giving up 48 points, you're going to obviously have a more significant chance of winning the game. So overall, I really love what I've seen from the defense. Again, I understand we played Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian. I understand the Jets offense with that O-line is abysmal. To be out Javon Holland, to be out Deshaun Elliott, to be out Jerome Baker, to not have Jalen Phillips, to not have Xavier Howard and still pitch a shutout, I was very impressed with it. Because when this unit is fully healthy, Jerome Baker should come back for that Buffalo game. Xavier should be back next week. I don't know what's going on Javon Holland, but hopefully he'll be back next week. Deshaun Elliott, same thing. When this defense has that full strength, I think it's going to give our team a significant chance in any game to win. So that was very encouraging. I loved what I saw from our D-line. Really every single guy on there. They just looked dominant. I loved what I saw from our secondary. I think it was the first time. I think there's only been one other time that we've allowed for less yards in a game than what we allowed against the Jets. I forget exactly when it was, but that was like almost a franchise record for the least amount of yardage allowed. And again, you consider all the injuries we have. To me, that's very impressive. Now let's switch to the offensive side of the ball, because to me, I think, let me just say this. I was very happy with Tua's game. This notion that Tua is not good without Tyreek Hill is so stupid. It's so blown out of proportion. Does Tyreek make Tua better? Yes. You're an idiot if you think otherwise. No offense. Tyreek makes this offense, makes Tua at another level of what it normally should be without him. That would happen in any team. Are we not watching the Kansas City Chiefs without Tyreek? Are you? Because if you're watching the Kansas City Chiefs, you're seeing, hey, the Chiefs are still a good team. Patrick Mahomes is still one of one. But Tyreek Hill was a big part of why they were so dynamic and why they were so explosive. And to me, watching the Chiefs this year was kind of like watching the Dolphins game yesterday. They can still put up points. It's harder. It takes longer. It's uglier, but they can still score a lot of points and Tua can have a successful game. But I think what you saw yesterday was the Dolphins, rightfully so, played a more conservative, methodical game. They knew they didn't have Tyreek. They should have last week. They made Waddle do a lot of the stuff Tyreek does on the motions pre-snap. They didn't do that last week at all. I don't know why. But we saw a more conservative game plan. Run the football. Tua, I think, has done a phenomenal job this year of, hey, if you're about to get sacked, fall down. We're playing the Jets. So what if it moves us out of field goal range? We'll punt it inside the 10 and we'll get the ball right back in 4 plays, right? Thought Tua did a marvelous job of just staying healthy, again, playing clean football, playing the game within the game. That 60-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle was just a thing of beauty. And I thought, again, was his game sexy? No. Is anyone going to look at this game and say that's the best game Tua's ever played? No. But it's exactly what he needed to do. Go out there, show that you can play very good football, very high-quality quarterback football without Tyreek Hill. And if anyone's surprised really with what we saw on Sunday, then I don't know what to tell you. Again, it was exactly what I expected. I expected Tua to play well. I know he's a good quarterback. The only issue I have with Tua is durability. And what I've seen this year is a guy that understands, hey, as long as I'm healthy, we have a chance. So if it means I have to take a sack and fall down and we punt it instead of getting a field goal, so be it, right? Or, if I have to give up on a play and that means a longer second down, so be it. I've seen the growth there from him. And I wasn't surprised by anything I saw against the Jets. A good Jets defense that doesn't give up big plays. Obviously, we saw, Jalen Waddle and what he did on that 60-yard bomb. But I just saw a guy that understood, don't do stupid stuff. Go out there, play a solid, clean football game. If it means 220 odd yards passing, oh well. I know that's not sexy, but high completion percentage. Let's not get the ball on the ground a lot. Let's not throw interceptions. He almost had one to CJ Mosley. But let's just go out there and play a clean game. Nothing crazy. Some short screen passes, get the ball out quick, and win the football game the way you need to. And that to me is where the Titans were able to beat the Dolphins last week. The Titans understood the assignment. Make the game ugly and win the game in the last little bit. And obviously that was an epic collapse on our defense, but that's what the Dolphins are going to need to do. Gone are the days, I'm letting everyone know right now, with Tyreek dealing with injuries. Our offensive line, which we'll talk about next, which is my biggest concern and why I kind of look at this Dolphins team a little differently now as far as what we can accomplish this season. Given all of that, gone are the days where the Dolphins are just going to go out there and put up 35, 40 points. That's over with. We put up 30 against the Jets because their offense was just so bad. But this is going to be, you're going to have to learn to win ugly. You're playing the Cowboys. You're playing the Ravens. You're playing the Bills who have owned us. And then you're going to hopefully be in the playoffs, whether it's clinching the AFC East or not. You have to win ugly games. And, I wasn't surprised at all by what I saw against the Jets. Some people are like, the Dolphins offense is back. And that, I understand all that and I love it. And I'm happy with our performance. But to me, it was exactly what I expected. The score is going to look higher because we had a lot of possessions, but in reality, it was kind of ugly at times. It looked hard. It looked labored, which is crazy considering we had 30 points. But at the end of the day, they did what they needed to, and they showed themselves and the national media that we can win a game convincingly without some of our best players. And I think that's going to be really important for them moving down these last stretch of games. Now, lastly, I wanted to talk about, the state of the team injuries wise, our offensive line, and how it shapes us moving forward into these last couple of games. The offensive line to me is going to be a concern. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, right, with Dolphins fans. Me saying that is not going to surprise anyone. But and I don't even blame the offensive line. It's not like in years past where our O-line is fully healthy and it's just like they're not good. Like Teron Armstead, can we count on him to play significant snaps? No. Your left guard situation, every game is different. Liam Eichenberg, hats off to him. I'm not going to crap on Liam at all. He didn't play that well, but I didn't think he was playing at all. People were saying they saw him in a boot during the week leading up to the game. For him to go out there and to play decent football, I gained a lot of respect for him. I did. It's not hard, dude. Like, he's moving around. He's at right guard. He's at left guard. He's at center. The guys around him aren't good, so they can't elevate his play. It's hard, and I'm not going to crap on Liam Eichenberg. I know there's videos of bad play out there from him, but at the end of the day, considering he's dealing with injuries and probably if everyone else was healthy, he wouldn't have played yesterday. I'm really happy with him and the fact that he came out there and, played probably like 60, 70%. Good for him. But again, you look at the offensive line, it's like everyone's dealing with injuries. There's not one position on our offensive line that's not dealing with injuries. There isn't. Liam, Austin Jackson now, which worries me because he's dealing with oblique, which is very similar to Jalen Phillips. So how's that going to look moving down the line when you're playing the Ravens and the Cowboys with Micah Parsons and you're playing the Bills who owned you last time? I'm worried about that. Robert Hunt, I've heard from podcasts I've listened to and tweets I've seen that he's still limping. That's not good. Liam Eichenberg, as I said. Lester Cotton, even if he's not injured, is probably playing as well as someone who is injured. No offense, but it's the truth. And then Teron Armstead, I appreciate it, but like I know how good he is. But I mean, the guy, if he plays more than one game, it's a surprise to everyone. So I just look at it, and again, I will always root for the Dolphins to win, and I'm rooting like hell for us to win the division, and I want us to win every game. But I always try to look at this team from an outsider's view if I wasn't a fan. And if you saw another team that was on their third string offensive lineman, that all of their starters were injured in some capacity, I can't take you seriously as a Super Bowl contender. And that's my only concern. I'm not concerned about Tyreek Hill. At the end of the day, I understand his impact, and I think he probably could have played yesterday, but they really need him for these last three games. But the issue to me and why I'm so concerned is you're not playing the Commanders. You're not playing the Panthers and the Giants these last three games. You're playing arguably a top three team in the NFC, a top three, the best team right now record-wise in the AFC, and the Bills, who I've said for the last 3 weeks look a lot better and are probably a top 5 team, 4 team in the AFC. They might even be better than Miami right now with the injuries. Okay, healthy-wise, I think this game, Week 18, would have looked a lot different. But at the current state of things, their health and our health, they're probably just as good, if not better. So given all of that, this is going to be a significantly hard last 3 games. And I look at the Jets game and I say that's very impressive. I don't take it for granted at all. But with that being said, we are going to have to play very good football these next 3 games in order to stand a chance, because Buffalo beat the brakes out of the Cowboys. And if you've been following this podcast all season, like we've been saying, the Dolphins had to win all 5 of those games, and the Bills had to lose 2 games by yesterday. And if that happened, we would have clinched the AFC. Now, The Bills did not lose 2 games. So even if we did win all 5 games, it wouldn't have mattered. However, the Dolphins now head into these last 3 games, and we have to hope that the Bills can lose a game and the Dolphins can win a game. That will help us clinch the AFC East. Or these are the ways you can clinch the AFC East if you're the Dolphins. If we just beat Buffalo, they can win every other game of the year, and we can lose every game. If we beat Buffalo, we will clinch the AFC East. That's one scenario. Scenario 2 is the Dolphins have to win 2 games and Buffalo has to lose 1 more. So essentially, will they lose to the Chargers or the Patriots? Probably not. But let's just say for argument they do. If we win our next 2 games and they lost to the Patriots, then that last game wouldn't matter because we'd clinch the AFC East. But regardless, you look at the 2 and you say, what's the underlying what's the underlying factor there? And it's that game in Buffalo, that game against Buffalo week 18 is probably going to be for the division. That's just the reality. Will we beat the Cowboys? I think there's a 50-50 chance. If you would have asked me before this week, I would have said, with our injuries, I don't know. But considering how bad Dallas looked on the road, considering the fact that we will probably be healthier next week on all sides of the ball, and it's in Miami, I think there's a 50-50 chance. But the reality is, that last game against Buffalo is probably going to be for the division. So buckle in, even if we would have won all 5 games, it wouldn't have mattered because we would have had to win 1 more game. But again, this is why those games like Tennessee, that's why I get so mad, because if you would have won all of them, all you would have had to do is win 1 more game this season. And it doesn't matter what Buffalo does. You would have won the division, right? But, I think the worst part was not that you lost to Tennessee. It's all the injuries that we had. Like the Connor Williams one is huge, right? But nonetheless, that's just looking ahead. We took care of business against the Jets. We swept them. Hopefully Jets fans understand, I said this at the beginning of the season, even without Aaron Rodgers, that offensive line sucks. Their team, the fact that people thought they were on the same level as the Dolphins and the Bills is shocking. I never understood it, but that was just me. Their defense obviously is really good, but when your offense sucks that bad, it's kind of hard to overcome it. But you beat the Jets. You took care of business. You're at 10 wins. This is the first time in 23 years that we've ever been 10-4, which again, don't take that for granted just because we lost last week to the Titans. But again, we look ahead. We have 3 hard games coming up. Hopefully McDaniel and company can play physical football, can tough it out, can pull out 1 to 2 more victories this season, and win the AFC, because I really think that if we can get a home playoff game, we can do some damage. But we will see. At the end of the day, there's a long 3 games ahead, and each game can be a toss-up, right? Each game's a toss-up. I don't know who's going to win. I want the Dolphins to win, and I hope they win. But I think everyone could agree that it's going to be much tougher than we previously thought because of injuries. So we'll see. We'll see what McDaniel's got planned. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Dolphins versus the World. As always, again, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. It does mean a lot. Chase and I will be back on Thursday to preview our matchup against the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve. So again, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time here on the Dolphins versus the World podcast. Fins up.